Start.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes, I could. This is Saji.
Okay, and you can see the screen also?
Yes, SAP S4HANA. I see the screen here.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so as you know that we started this course in the last session, we started off with SAP HANA basics. As I told you before, you understand what exactly is SAP S4HANA and what are the new functionalities in SAP S4. It is important that we understand the backbone, the architecture of SAP S4HANA, and we understand how exactly all these things started and what is the core component which is making this possible. So we spoke about SAP HANA. Now SAP HANA being a technical topic, we are not discussed the development admin part related to that because as a functional consultant, we are not bothered about that. What we are bothered about is like if, let's say for example, if you are working on SAP S4HANA and you come across various terms like what is in-memory computing, what is columnar-based data storage. So I think those terms now you are familiar with. Okay, now today we'll start with SAP S4HANA basics, like just the overview of what exactly is SAP S4HANA. So as I told you that today's session and tomorrow's session, which will be on SAP Activate methodology. This sessions will be theoretical, but after the sessions from the next week, we'll be actually starting to configure the things in the system. That is 1610 S4HANA system. So let's talk about what SAP S4HANA is now. So SAP HANA that we discussed in our last session was what? It was a database, right? Which was replacing our traditional databases. So till now, if I talk about till year 2012 or 13, we were using the SAP applications which is built upon the other databases, the traditional databases. So SAP ECC is application which was available from 2005, and before that SAP 4.7 and all, they were available from around 25 to 30 years back. So during this 25-30 years, SAP was not using their own database. SAP was relied on the traditional databases like Oracle, Microsoft. We were using all kind of databases with SAP. Now, as we discussed, in 2011, SAP came up with SAP HANA database, and in 2012 and 13, SAP came up with the ECC, same ECC application that you are working today, ECC EHP7 on HANA database, which means you can still continue to use the same functionalities, whatever you were using in the current version. On top of that, you will be getting higher speed. Okay, so there will not be any table level changes, there will not be any functionality level changes. The changes will be only in the database. So it is not something which is very much related to the functional consultant. So if you are working on, let's say, AP7 on HANA database, it will not change your functional job because most of the things, most of the processes are unimpacted. Now when in 2013, when SAP came up with SAP uh, ECC application on HANA, it was not the end. The ultimate objective of coming up with SAP HANA was to simplify the processes. But only by replacing your database from traditional databases to SAP HANA will not provide you the simplification, it will just provide you the speed. Okay, I request all of you to please mute yourself. There is some background noise. Okay, maybe I'm muting all of you from my side so that there should not be any disturbance. If you have any questions, you can write on the chat screen Okay, I'll unmute you and we'll have the discussion. So till 2013, SAP just came up with SAP HANA database. Okay, just to improvise the speed. But the ultimate objective was not only speed, the ultimate objective was to simplify the user screens, to simplify the processes. Okay, so slowly after 2013, SAP came up with some new simplifications also. So before they came up with SAP S4HANA, they also provided the simplified user experience. So again, on EHP 7, if you want to simplify your user experience, you can implement SAP Fiori, okay, which is the different solution. I'm not saying that in EHP 7 automatically you'll get SAP Fiori. No, you need to implement SAP Fiori as a separate product on top of your EHP 7. So that was also possible from 2014. In 2014, SAP not only was providing SAP HANA database on the background, but also from the screens point of view, you can use SAP Fiori. But as you know that SAP Fiori, when it was provided on EHP 7, the apps were very limited. I'm not saying all the apps, all the transactions that you are getting in SAP S4HANA, they were available in ECC. No. In SAP Fiori, very basic apps were provided which will make the life easy for the end user to perform the transactions. Okay, so in 2014, SAP HANA, SAP Fiori, both were available, which were optional. So if you are using ECC EHP 7, if you want to improvise your speed, you can go with SAP HANA database. If you want to improvise your user experience, you can go with the SAP Fiori. Then came the chance of the processes. What about the processes? They also wanted to improvise the processes. Now they started identifying which processes we should improvise or which processes we should simplify. So they had a list of processes. Okay, we want to improvise this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, whatever number of processes. Now came the prioritization. Alright, you cannot simplify all the things at once. They need to prioritize. So what they have done? They said, okay, let's focus first on financial processes. Okay, so financial processes were the first processes that they identified to simplify. So within financials, there was a problem with reconciliation. There was a problem with slower closing. So they focused these points. So they came up with the solution where reconciliation will not be the issue, where the closing will be performed very fast. Okay, so the first product that SAP came up with, which was including the simplified processes, was SAP Simple Finance. Okay, why the name SAP Simple Finance? Because this particular product was only focusing on simplifications into finance module. So the first product they came up with in the late 2014 was SAP Simple Finance 1.0. Okay, it was a basic version which was trying to simplify the basic things. Again, these were not the only simplifications. From finance point itself, there were a lot of simplifications which were expected. So they came up with the second version of SAP Simple Finance, which was SAP Simple Finance 1503. That is in March 2015. So in March 2015, SAP came up with SAP Simple Finance 1503, which was again only simplifying the financial processes. I'm coming back to Krishna, your question. Let me just complete this. I'll answer your question. So as I told you, in March 2015, SAP came up with SAP Simple Finance 1503. Again, this was not the end. If I talk from finance point of view also, it was not the end. But at least the basic financial processes, which were on very high priority, they were already simplified. There were some other financial processes which needs to be simplified, but they are not on that priority. Okay, now the next priority was, before they simplify the other financial processes, the next priority was some of the basic core modules like MM, SD, PP. These modules needs to be considered first before they simplify the finance. So what they had done is they divided this into two parts. So they carried out the SAP Simple Finance completely separate, and they renamed the product in 2015 1511 called as SAP Enterprise Management. Okay, so SAP Enterprise Management is not only simplifying the finance, like simple finance, it is simplifying finance as well as logistics functionalities. So whatever features from finance point of view were available in 1503, they are all available in 1511, 1511, plus some of the additional logistics processes. Okay, so SAP S4HANA Enterprise Management is not only simplifying your finance, it is simplifying your finance as well as logistics functionalities. But again, in 1511, whatever processes were simplified, they are not the only processes. There are a lot of other processes. That is the reason SAP came up with 1610. In 1610, some of the more components like WM, APO, they were also simplified. Okay, I'm not saying they are completely simplified. There are a lot of simplifications expected from EWM, APO point of view, but some of the basic processes from EWM and APO, they were part of 1610. So there are a lot of other processes till now. Today also, we are not saying that SAP S4HANA is a complete product. There are a lot of processes which are going to be simplified from EWM, APO, CRM, SRM, this these modules are need to be simplified. That is the reason we are expecting 1709, we are expecting 1809. So over next 2-3 years, we will get more number of versions which will try to simplify more and more things. Okay, so I hope you got the idea what is the whole roadmap of SAP S4HANA. So all things started in 2011 with SAP HANA database. Okay, then they came up with SAP ECC on HANA database. Then they came up with SAP Simple Finance, which was simplifying only the financials. Then they came up with SAP S4HANA 1511, which was not only simplifying the finance, but also the logistics processes, core logistics processes. And finally, they came up with 1610, which was not only concentrating on core logistics processes, but some of the advanced feature also, like APO, EWM, but only the basic things. Now in 1709, we are expecting the advanced things in advanced components, like the complete APO integrated within SAP S4, the complete EWM integrated within S4. These are some of the things which we are expecting in the near future, either in 1709 or in 1810. Okay, let me take you to that particular slide. Okay, I'm talking about this. So in SAP HANA, 2011 was the year when SAP HANA was available, which was in-memory platform. Okay, what is in-memory platform? You already know. We discussed in the last session that in-memory platform means instead of storing the data in the hard disk, now the entire data will be directly stored in RAM. Then before they came up with SAP ECC on SAP HANA, the first product that they tried on HANA database was SAP BW on SAP HANA. So in year 2012, SAP came up with SAP BW on SAP HANA. Then they came up with SAP ECC EHP7 on HANA database, which was providing the real-time business processes. I think we discussed OLAP and OLTP in the last session. So this was the idea. I'm not saying that in ECC this is already achieved, but this was the whole idea, to integrate OLAP and OLTP in one single module. And the customers are also getting the option of going on to cloud. So even on EHP7, if you are working on EHP7 on HANA database, you have the option whether you want to use this on premise or you want to go on cloud. Okay, this option is not only available on SAP S4HANA, but even for the EHP7 customers who are using HANA database. Finally, in 2014, the first version of SAP Simple Finance came into the picture, which was simplifying the financial processes by providing the single source of truth. I'll talk about what is single source of truth. And in 2015, the first version of SAP S4HANA, which was 1511, was launched. Okay, which was giving you simplified data model from the logistics point of view, new user experience from Fiori, advanced processing, some of the processes were advanced, and the choice of deployment, which means you can decide whether you want to go with on-premise or you want to go with cloud. Okay, let me answer one or two questions which I got on the chat screen before I go to the next slide. Okay. Krishna, your question is not relevant to this particular slide, so I'll just answer your question, but towards the end of this, because this will create a confusion because most of the guys are from logistics and this question is more of finance. Coming to the answer for Prasanna, in all together with taken care ECC, APO and EWM, how many databases has been used? Okay. See, if I talk from today point of view, if you are using ECC plus separate APO plus separate EWM, definitely you are using 3 databases as of today. Okay, and as I told you, when I talk about 1610, some of the basic functionalities of EWM and APO are embedded within your core SAP S4HANA system. But the advanced functionalities, they are still decentralized, which means today also if you want to use all the functionalities of SAP S4HANA plus EWM plus APO, today also you need 3 separate databases. But ultimately the motivation here is to eliminate the other databases and come up with a single database which will be for SAP S4HANA. Okay, but that will take time. So maybe uh, we we may get this information in 1709 or maybe in 1810. But ultimately, everything has to be one. That is the whole purpose of coming up with this product. No, CIF concept is still available if you are using HANA Cloud. Okay, because if you are using APO, then definitely you need to transfer the data, right? If you are using the separate installation for APO, you still need to transfer the data between your core system and APO system, even EWM system. So as of today, this will be required, but once in the future, once everything is integrated, available in the same instance, then definitely this thing will not be required. Okay, let me proceed to the next slide. So to summarize, what is SAP S4HANA? It stands for SAP Business Suite for HANA. Okay, which means this is a SAP's business suite. All were SAP business suites, right? ECC also was SAP business suite. What is the difference? The difference is this is totally based on HANA database. So SAP business suite for SAP HANA, where this S stands for either simplified or suite in terms of the full form. 4 stands for fourth generation, or sometimes you can also refer that this 4 is coming as 4. It is a new product and a next generation of business applications. Now let's answer this. Why it is a new product? Is it completely designed from scratch? No. Then why we are calling it as a new product? They are calling it as a new product because entire architecture is going to change. How? So earlier we were using third-party databases. Now we are using SAP HANA database. From the user screen point of view, we were using traditional screens. Now we are going to use SAP Fiori. So entire look and feel, even the background architecture is going to be changed. Some of the processes are going to be changed. So that is the reason they are calling it as a new product. Normally what happens is they come up with the next version. So from EHP 6 to EHP 7, EHP 7 to EHP 8. In that case, you cannot call it as a new product because it is the next version of the existing product. But this particular thing, because this is not the next version of EHP 7, EHP 7 to EHP 8, EHP 9 will continue. This is not that upgradation. This is a completely new product. This means this is not not something which needs to be upgraded from EHP 7 or EHP 8. Okay, it is not only the basic functionalities. What happens when you move from EHP 6 to EHP 7? Some of the basic functionalities, they don't touch the database, they don't touch your front-end applications. That is the reason they are saying that this is a completely new product. And the next generation of business application. Next generation of business application. I hope we, when we discussed in the demo session, that why we are going in this particular direction? What is the need when everything is working fine with SAP? SAP is the biggest ERP vendor in the market. Still, why they are coming up with a new product? Because the market is demanding that. Market has been changed completely. The business, the way in which the business were carried out around 10-15 years back, it is not same today. Today, everybody is talking about cloud. Everybody is talking about providing the best of the solutions to the customer via the mobile interfaces. Okay, so this is not the same thing which the customers were expecting 10 years back. So we need a solution. We need a SAP system which supports all these things. We need a system which supports doing the transactions from any device. We need a system which performs the calculations analysis very faster, because ultimately customer is going to suffer if we don't provide this. Okay, so that is the reason we are saying it is a application which is for the next generation, which is fully built upon SAP HANA. It provides the instant insight by using a single source of truth. I told you, I'll tell you what is single source of truth. Real-time processes and dynamic planning and analysis. Now let's concentrate on these three things. Single source of truth. This term is more related to finance, although we can also link it to the logistics processes, but if I give the example from finance, it will become more clear. When we are talking about SAP S4HANA, we are not saying that this is only for finance or logistics. S4HANA is a product which supports simple finance as well as simple logistics. So single source of truth means today from finance, you must be knowing that there are different subcomponents in finance. Like you have financials, you have controlling, you have asset accounting, you have material ledger, okay, and this type of different components you have currently in your ECC system. Now, if you have these different components, what is happening is the tables which are storing the data from all these components are also independent. So there are separate tables for controlling, separate tables for FI, just to give you the example. So FI, we know BKPF and BSEG is a main table. For CO, COSP and COSS, COEP, these are some of the main tables in controlling. So although they are very tightly integrated with each other, whatever goes into FI, it flows into CO, we already know that. But during the month end, there are the chances of reconciliation issues. You must have heard this term, reconciliation issues. There is a reconciliation problem. That is the reason we are not able to close our books on time. Every month end, you must be knowing that your finance consultant, they are tied up with lot of activities because they keep on getting the request that, okay, this is not getting reconciled, please help us. What is the reason? The reason is, since there are separate tables, something is not matching with something, then definitely there is a problem somewhere. So let's say in FI, the balance is 1000 USD. In controlling, it is only showing 800 USD. So what is the truth? Whether my FI is giving me the correct picture, whether 1000 is correct or 800 is correct. Both cannot be true. Both cannot be true because they are not reconciling with each other. So what is the truth? You need to find out whether FI is the truth or CO is the truth. But now, all these 5 components that I talked about, finance, controlling, asset accounting, material ledger, and COPA, all these 5 components will be storing the data at one common place. That is AC.A, accounting document table, a single table which will hold all this information. So now when you have a single table which is holding the complete information, there is no chance of any reconciliation issue. Sorry, just give me a minute. Yeah, there is no chance of any reconciliation issue. That is the reason we are calling this table as single source of truth, which means you just see at this table whatever is available, that is truth, and there is no other place where you go to find the truth. Second is real-time processes. So as I told you, currently, since there are a lot of different interfaces that we are using, we already discussed about APO, EWM. So what is happening every time? Let's talk about CRM, SRM also, or maybe BI. Okay, let's focus on BI if I want to talk about the real-time processes. So let's say, for example, if I want to generate a report from BI, so where the data is coming from? BI is not having their own data, right? The data is flowing from our ECC system. Are you flowing this data from ECC system in real time? Normally not. Normally we schedule it in the nights or maybe once in the week, so that whatever data comes in BI, that is only applicable for reporting. So let's say, for example, today, now, if I want to see some information, some report, I may not get the full picture because it may happen that some of the transactions which I have done, they are not shown to BI. So I'm not getting the real-time processes in short. Now the plan is to embed all the things. Embed means you don't need two separate databases. You don't need to transfer the data from this component to that component. One single component which will be used for transactions as well as reporting purpose. So whatever data is available in the database, that will be directly available for reporting, which will give you the real-time processes. Finally, dynamic planning and analysis. So for planning, currently you are using APO component. Okay, for logistics planning, you are using APO. For financial planning, you are using BPC, business planning and consolidation. Both are external components. Okay, you plan the data in APO, you get the actual data from ECC, and you perform the reporting. So what are you doing? You are unnecessarily transferring the data from here to there. Every time the master data is created in ECC, that has to be loaded in APO as well as BPC, which is unnecessary repeating the steps. So going forward, BPC is already, from finance point of view, BPC is already available as an embedded component. Okay, which means you can now do the planning directly in your core system. You don't need the separate installation for BPC. The planning component can be directly used in your SAP S4HANA system as a part of Simple Finance. So within Simple Finance, there is a component called as embedded IBP, Integrated Business Planning, which is an embedded BW component. From logistics point of view, as I told you, APO is planned to be available directly as an IBP component within the same installation. But as of today, only basic functionalities from APO are available. The advanced features we are expecting in the near future. So that is the dynamic planning and analysis. Modern and simplified user experience. So as I told you, it is not only speed, it is not only the processes, it is the way it is the way in which you are going to perform the transactions. So today, if I want to create a purchase order, I need to log in from my laptop, my computer to SAP system, then only I can perform the transactions. But with SAP Fiori, the way in which you do the transactions has been simplified. So you can carry out your important transactions from your mobile devices, from tabs. Even if you are doing from the computer, the screens are simpler. Okay, so as you know, the current screens that we use, they have hundreds of fields, and it is very confusing for the new user to execute the new transaction. But going forward with SAP Fiori, since it is very user friendly, the amount of time required to perform the transaction will come down. Okay, so that is a main feature of the simplified user experience. It is achieved by SAP Fiori. And ultimately, it reduces the data footprint of your company by removing the aggregates. I think you remember our last session when we talk about what are the aggregates. Aggregates are redundancies, the totals which are performed during the transaction. So I given you the example of MARC table. Whenever an entry is posted in MSEC, it is not only available in MSEC, the total is performed, and finally the available unrestricted quantity field is updated in MARC also, which results in a lot of time in the background whenever you perform the transaction. And the memory is also consumed. So going forward, because this thing is not required, because aggregates are not required, they are completely removed or eliminated, that is the reason you will be reducing lot of data footprint. Which means if you were using 10 GB of data till now, it can come to 3 or 4 GB of data. So you are ultimately saving the money, because memory means you need to purchase a memory once it is full. So less the amount of consumption in your memory, less the chances that you will need additional memory. Not only that, not only the amount, but as you know, if you are processing the transactions in the database, which is having high volume of data, ultimately it will be slow. But if you are processing the transaction in a database where the data is not much, definitely the speed will be the higher compared to the database which is having high volume of data. Finally, the choice of deployment. You are getting the choice of deployment. You can decide whether you want to go on premise or you want to go on cloud. This choice of deployment was already available with SAP ECC EHP7 if you are using HANA database. Only for HANA customers, the customers who are using HANA database, this choice of deployment was available whether they want to go for on-premise or they want to go on cloud. Let me talk more about what are the differences between these two. I think most of you are already aware because this is not a new thing. Even it may be the new thing in SAP, but the cloud computing is being used from years now. Cloud computing means, let's say if I am a customer and I am just performing the analysis according to my business processes, which ERP should I select? I'm in the selection process. I have still not decided whether I will go with SAP or some other ERP. So different vendors came to me, they proposed their own solutions. Some vendors proposed me, okay, go with Oracle. Some vendors proposed me, okay, go with some other ERP which is available on cloud, and somebody proposed me, go with SAP. So although I am very much interested, I very much liked SAP solution, but the problem is if I go with SAP, I need to purchase lot of hardwares or I need to invest lot of amount in the infrastructure, which is a problem, right? It is not a small cost. You need to have a very big one-time investment if you want to go for SAP. So that made me take a decision, okay, forget about SAP, let's go with a small ERP vendor who is providing the cloud solution. So that because I'm not ready with for the one-time investment, I can maybe pay the subscription fees and start using some other ERP. But now when SAP is also providing you the cloud solution, which means you don't need to invest lot of amount on the infrastructure cost. You just pay the subscription fees and you use the SAP from the cloud, which will be hosted by third party. So it may be Amazon, it may be SAP itself. So you can use the SAP solutions which are available on cloud by just paying the subscription, which saves the one-time infrastructure cost. So this is the benefit to the smaller customers. But are there any challenges? Is it same as in premise? Normally, when you talk about cloud, there are two options, public cloud and private cloud. Public cloud means the same system that you are using, the same SAP system will be shared with multiple clients. So you are not the only one using that SAP system. You are only using one company code out of that. There may be some other company codes which are being used by other customers. In that case, if I want to make some change in the process, if I want to write some Z code which is trying to change the standard behavior of the system, definitely that is not allowed, because it will not only impact your business processes, it will unnecessarily impact the business processes of other customers. So in cloud, it is very much restricted. You have the restriction, you cannot change the functionality as per your requirements. While if you are using on-premise system, you have that possibility, right? You can decide what you want to do in your current system because that belongs to you. What is the option? If I want to use cloud and if I want to be free that whatever I want to do, I can do. In that case, the option is private cloud. Private cloud means a single system which will be completely given to you. But then, does it make sense? Because if you want to go with the private cloud, why don't you purchase your own instead of going with the cloud? So initially, maybe you will be saving the cost. Okay, but in the longer run, you will be paying more amount. right? So in the public cloud, if you are giving 10% of the total cost of that server, in private cloud, you need to pay entire 100% because that server is explicitly given to you. Okay, so that are the restrictions. In case of cloud, the restrictions are you are not supposed to change the standard behavior of the system. One thing. Second thing, if I talk about on-premise and cloud, so SAP S4HANA, as I told you, they keep on providing the new versions. So in case of on-premise, as I told you, the first version was 15.11, the second version was 16.10, third version is expected in 17.09. So every yearly, one version is expected from on-premise point of view. While in case of on-cloud, the versions are available every quarterly. Okay, so after 15.11, there was a new version from cloud, 16.02, then 16.05, then 16.08, then 16.10, then after 17.01, okay, then 17.05 I think, and now I'm not sure which is the latest one. But every quarterly, they are coming up with a new version. And it is mandatory for each and every client who is using the cloud, this versions will be upgraded automatically. Automatically means the party, the third party who is maintaining the servers, it is mandatory for them to upgrade to the latest version. So in your case, if you are using on-premise, if you are using 15.11, you can decide whether I want to go to 16.10 or 17.09 or not. It is up to you. While in case of cloud, it is not up to you. It is up to the third party. Okay, so if they decide to update the version, you don't have any control. You have to use the new functions in that case. Okay, so these are some of the benefits and challenges with cloud. Benefits are definitely you will save a cost in terms of public cloud. So for the small customers who don't have that much of budget to invest one-time infrastructure cost by using SAP, they can obviously go with the cloud solution. But for the big customers who are expecting a lot of changes in their business processes, it is always better to go with SAP on-premise. Okay, let me just answer one or two questions on the chat screen. Okay, the question is from Raj. Does it demand the new hardware for users and database, or can we leverage the existing hardware and systems? Does HANA has any abbreviation? Okay, let's answer your first question. So when you say that SAP is, when you are saying that we need to upgrade our database to SAP HANA, definitely you can use your existing hardware, but you need to perform the upgrade on that. I'm not saying to completely replace your hardware. You can use your existing hardware, but definitely it will need the upgrade. Why it will need the upgrade? The reason is simple, because your current hardware doesn't have that much of RAM. When we are saying that SAP HANA is an in-memory computing, this means you need to deploy, which may not be available today. Okay, so you can use the existing hardware, but definitely you need to upgrade your RAM to support the new processes. Okay, the second question is, I think same, or can we leverage the existing hardware and system? So I think I got, sorry, I given you the answer. Okay, there is another question from Prasanna. How some part of my business on premise and some are on cloud will speak to each other? Yes. So that is a hybrid approach. The third approach that you can see is hybrid. Hybrid means some kind of transactions, sorry, some kind of components you are keeping on premise and some kind of components you are keeping on cloud. I'll give you the example. So let's say today you are using SAP ECC with CRM component. Now, if you want to move to SAP S4HANA, you can decide that I will keep my ECC on cloud or maybe I'll keep my ECC on premise while I will move my SRM or CRM component on cloud. Okay, this is called as a hybrid approach. And the way in which you are integrating your current system, let's say CRM is already a separate component and ECC is already a separate component. So going forward also, SAP S4HANA will become the separate component and your CRM will be available as a different component which is on cloud. So you can integrate in the same way. It doesn't make any difference whether you are using the CRM component on cloud or on premise. You can still connect to each other and you can create an interface. Rajan is asking what is the difference between public and private cloud. So Rajan, as I told you, public cloud means the same SAP system which you are using on cloud is being shared by multiple customers. So let's say if I am a, or maybe I'll give you a simple example. Let's say today, if I am moved to a new place, let's say I was staying in Bangalore and now I moved to Mumbai. Now, I have two options. If I want to stay in Mumbai, I have two options. One is I purchase an apartment, and second is I take the apartment on rent. So if I purchase an apartment, that is up to me how I want to use that apartment, right? I can change the structure and all, that is up to me. I can change the color, I can change the furniture, that is up to me. Okay, but that will require one-time infrastructure cost. That will require one-time huge cost. So the second option is to get the flat on rent. Okay, now even if I go for rent, again, let's say I have two options. First option is I will stay alone. Okay, again, may not be the complete control, but still I can enjoy many benefits compared to if I share the apartment with some other guys. So for example, if the normal rent for one apartment is 30K, okay, if I'm staying alone, I need to pay 30K for that. And if I'm sharing that apartment with my other colleagues or maybe some other customers who are already staying there, so it may be divided into 5 of us. So I'll be just paying 6,000, 6K. So that is a difference. So in case of private cloud, you need to pay the entire cost of that particular component. While in case of public cloud, the cost is shared by multiple customers. Same system is being used by multiple customers. Yes, Prasanna, RFC connections can be still used. You can still use RFC connections to connect your different components. But as I told you, going forward, the plan is to minimize the different components and everything should be available in one single component. Okay, I'll answer the remaining questions maybe after this slide. Let's proceed with the next topics. So SAP S4HANA core, okay, this is important. This complete picture that you can see is SAP S4HANA. So before I talk about this picture, let me tell you, I think I already discussed last time, but still there are some new guys here. If you are confused between SAP HANA and SAP S4HANA, it is very important that you come out of that confusion. So what is the difference between SAP HANA and SAP S4HANA? I'll give you the same example that I give every time. Let's say if I meet a friend and I ask him, okay, what are you doing currently? Which project you are working on? And he's saying me, I'm working on SAP S4HANA. I asked him, okay, which version of SAP S4HANA? He said ECC HP7. So is he really using SAP S4HANA? I asked him how SAP S4HANA doesn't provide EHP7. SAP S4HANA is 1511, 1610. He said, no, we are using EHP7, but we are on HANA database. So that makes us on SAP S4HANA. That is completely wrong. If you are using ECC EHP7 on HANA database, this doesn't mean that you are on SAP S4HANA. SAP ECC EHP7 on HANA database, it is the same ECC application, only the database is different. But when you're talking about SAP S4HANA, the application itself is completely new. So what I wanted to highlight here is, just because you are using SAP HANA database, it is not making you to work on SAP S4HANA. For SAP S4HANA, you need the application also as a part of the new versions, 15.11, 16.10. These are only SAP S4HANA versions. Okay, now what exactly is SAP S4HANA? Is it a component like ECC, or it is a general term? So SAP S4HANA is a term which is used to give you the idea of a complete architecture. So it is not only this middle part. This is not only, this is S4HANA Enterprise Management. So S4HANA includes the components like success factors. It includes the components like Ariba. What do you mean? I mean that SAP S4HANA is not only restricted to ECC. I'll just give you the example. Let's say your customer is saying, I am implementing SAP. Does it mean that he is only going to implement the core modules? He may be implementing CRM, SRM. So will I say, no, SRM, CRM are part of outside ECC. Okay, they are not SAP. When we are saying SAP, it means ECC plus CRM plus APO plus IBP, whatever you are using. Similarly, when we are saying SAP S4HANA, it includes everything. It includes your core component. Okay, it includes your, this is the core component. This includes your core component plus success factor, Ariba, Concur, Hybris, even SRM, CRM, APO, they are all part of it. But what is the difference? Where is the difference? There is a difference in the success factors if I compare to ECC? Is there a difference in Ariba or Concur compared to ECC? No. The difference is in the core. The core system, which till now we were using SAP ERP core. Okay, the core components of MM, SD, PP, they are available in my central ECC component, right? That component is simplified, which is called as SAP S4 core, or it may be also called as the digital core. Okay, so this complete picture is showing you what SAP S4 HANA is. It consists of the main core system, okay, plus the interfaces to SuccessFactors, the interfaces to Ariba, Concur, Hybris. Now I'm not saying that if you are using SAP S4 HANA, all these are mandatory. No, not at all. And I'm not saying that SuccessFactors, Ariba, Concur, Hybris, they are only available in SAP S4 HANA. Again, no. In ECC also, if you are using ECC here in the middle, we are replacing ECC with SAP S4 core. Okay, so if you are using ECC, still you can use SuccessFactors, still you can use Ariba, Concur, Hybris. Okay, but since these interfaces are getting difficult, like these interfaces are getting more and more complicated, that is the reason SAP has thought of simplifying this core component, so that the interfaces are possible today also, but these interfaces will become more simpler if our core component is simplified. Okay, and again, it is not necessary that you need to use SuccessFactors, Ariba if you are using SAP S4 HANA. No, you can start with this digital core. You can start with this SAP S4 HANA core, which consists of the core modules. Okay, it doesn't comes up with Ariba, it doesn't comes with SuccessFactors. They are the additional components which you can decide whether you want to use it or not. So first of all, you design this digital core, you implement MM, SD, PP, FI, CO, whatever you were doing in ECC, and then if required, you can go with SuccessFactors. If required, you can go with Ariba, Concur. What are these components? What are these products? SuccessFactors and Ariba, they are complementing your business processes. So in my core component, from human resources point of view, if out of 10 functionalities, 5 functionalities are already available in the core component, remaining 5 features, you can get it from SuccessFactors. Okay, so SuccessFactors is complementing your business processes. It is providing more features which is adding to the existing features which are already available in your main core component. Okay, so when we talk about SAP S4 HANA, it is not only core. It is core plus cloud-based applications. These are cloud-based applications. SuccessFactors, Ariba, these are all cloud-based. So you cannot use SuccessFactors Ariba on premise. Even if you are implementing SAP S4HANA core component on premise, you need to have an interface which is connecting with SuccessFactors on cloud. Okay, I hope you got the difference between the SAP S4HANA is a complete term. SAP S4 core is only this much, the core component that we are using, which is simplified. Now, what are the key enablers? Key enablers are, what are the key points which have made SAP S4HANA possible? Okay, obviously SAP S4HANA was not possible without HANA database. So by coming up with SAP HANA, SAP has provided the speed through which the OLAP and OLTP merge is possible now. It provides you in-memory compression and it is ultimately providing you the speed. Are you able to hear me? Somebody is complaining. Prabhakar is saying he's not able to hear me. Others, are you able to hear me? Okay. Just give me a minute. Let me ask Prabhakar to rejoin. Okay. Yes, so SAP HANA is providing the speed. SAP Fiori, it is providing you cross-application user experience. What is cross-application user experience? So today, if you are using, let's say, APO, you are using EWM, and you are using normal ECC application. Let's say you want to do a transaction in ECC, and then you need to do a second transaction in EWM, finally you need to go to APO. So these are three different systems. You need to log in into three different systems. Okay, maybe if you are already using enterprise portal or something from single sign-on, then that is possible. But from Fiori also, you don't need to go into different screens. In one single Fiori page, you can find the apps, the transactions which are coming from multiple applications. Okay, so once you log in into SAP Fiori, you can directly go to app which is related to APO, you can directly go to the app which is related to EWM, and you can directly go to the app which is related to ECC. So it is providing you one single sign-on which will allow you to perform all the cross-application transactions. It is completely web-based, which means you can use it from all devices. It is role-based. I will talk about role-based more when we have the Fiori session in the next week. And finally, it is DCCU. DCCU means it provides you the approval workflow scenarios where you can directly go into the particular app and you can see what is pending from your side. So this is again, I'll show you when we discuss the SAP Fiori. Finally, real-time and simplified. So this is the important thing that we need to understand in this course, because as I told you, when you talk about SAP HANA, we understood now the basics of SAP HANA, we understood now the basics of SAP Fiori, even we are going to understand some basics of Fiori in the next sessions. But our focus will be here, how our processes are simplified, which processes are real-time now. So no aggregates and no indices, we need to understand where there are no aggregates, higher flexibility and throughput, and finally data footprint reduction. Okay, in which of the processes we are getting this, that is something which we need to discuss. So ultimately, these are just rough figures, 10 times smaller data footprint. This is SAP's figures which they got from the companies where they perform the pilot implementations. Okay, so 10 times smaller data footprint, which means if you were using 10 GB now till now, if you implement SAP HANA or SAP S4HANA, it will come down to 1 GB. 7 times higher throughput. What is throughput? Throughput means output minus input. Now what is output and what is input? Output means the reports, the analytics. Input means the transactions. So why we are using SAP first of all? Why the companies are more using into, what is the purpose of them to go for any ERP? Ultimately, they want to see, they want the flexibility in their processes. They want to see what is happening. Now, if they want to see what is happening, till the time they don't enter the transactions, they'll not be able to see that. They'll not be able to get the reports. So definitely they need to enter something, then only they can see what is happening. Now, what is happening today is most of the time the companies are just entering. From the reporting point of view, they are getting less number of reports, the slower reports. So today it is more of input and less of output. So now with SAP S4HANA, according to SAP figures, it will be 7 times more throughput, which means you will be getting more output, less input, which is the ultimate objective. From the speed point of view, it is 1800 times faster, we understood in the SAP HANA session, and 4 times less process steps. So today, if you are entering into a particular transaction where you need to go into 4 different steps, it will come down to 1 step. Okay, which means the screens are made simpler. So today, if you are, let's say, for example, when you are creating the purchase order, so if you are following 4 steps, now it has been handled in 1 single step with new Fiori apps. Finally, this is something which again we are going to discuss tomorrow when we will be talking about SAP Activate methodology. So these are the 3 different kind of projects that you will be working on. Okay, one is the new implementation. I'll go to the last one first, the new implementation. New implementation means if the customer is not using SAP till now and now they want to start using SAP for the first time, they will go for the new implementation. This is one scenario. Second scenario can be the customer who is using SAP already, but he is not happy with his current SAP system and he don't want to perform the conversion. He want to go to SAP S4HANA from scratch. So that will be also treated as a new implementation. So you are already using SAP. ERP means SAP. If you are not using SAP at all, you can go to the via the new implementation where you can decide whether you want to go on premise or you want to go on cloud. So this is for new and existing SAP customers who want to implement the new SAP S4HANA system from scratch. Second is system conversion. This is applicable for the customers who are already using SAP and they want to perform the upgrade. They don't want to start everything from scratch. They want to take all the data, whatever is available in their current system as it is, and they just want to make the necessary changes so that they can use the new functionalities or new features of SAP S4. So for them, the deployment option will be system conversion. Finally, landscape transformation. Okay, before landscape transformation, let me tell you, in the system conversion, you can see there is no cloud. If you are going for system conversion, it is only on premise. Why? So this is I think somebody asked the question earlier, can I use the same hardware? This is because you want to use the same hardware. When you talk about system conversion, this means you need to use the same hardware. Conversion means using the same hardware and upgrading your hardware as well as your application to cope up with the new requirements. So same hardware will be used and this hardware is already in premise. That is the reason this will be only on premise. If you decide to go from this hardware to cloud, then this will be applicable, ERP system to cloud. This will be treated as a new implementation, not the system conversion. Finally, landscape transformation. Landscape transformation means if you are using SAP and you are using different SAP systems for different regions. Okay, here there was only one SAP, here there was only one SAP or non-SAP. But here as you can see, you are using 3 instances of SAP in different regions. So let's say for Asia, you are using SAP ECC 4.7. For Europe, you are using SAP ECC 6.0. And for US, you are using SAP ECC HP7. Okay, so you cannot migrate or you cannot perform the conversion all these 3 systems to one on-premise. That is not possible, right? So what should we do? And since there are 3 different systems, it will take more time, right? It may take 2 to 3 years to convert this all systems to SAP S4HANA. But normally, if the customer has already invested, okay, they will not wait for 3 years to realize the benefits. So what should be done? So SAP came up with the third option called as landscape transformation, in which you can get the reports real time. So what needs to be done is you will continue to use these old systems from transaction point of view. From transaction point of view, you will be doing the transactions in this old system, but every time you do the transaction in real time, the data will flow to S4HANA system so that you can perform your reporting in consolidation. Okay, this is called as a sidecar approach, which means you are continuing to use two systems parallelly, the existing system as well as SAP S4HANA system. But this is only applicable for the customers who are using the distributed system landscape, who are using different SAP systems, and it will take time for them to migrate everything to SAP S4. So parallelly, they will run this another project which will convert these systems to SAP S4HANA, but till that time, they are not ready to wait. They want to see the benefits in a very short duration. That is the reason they will go for landscape transformation. Any question in these three scenarios, or let me just go back to our previous questions. Okay, Pradeep is asking the question, can we keep the processes where customizations are required in on-premise and those that would remain standard on a public? No, it is not possible. Either you can go on-premise or you can go on cloud. You cannot be on both. There is another question from Suresh. When you say EWM will be embedded with SAP S4HANA, does it mean that WM processes will not be there in Simple Logistics? Yes, definitely. Going forward, existing WM system will be completely obsolete. It may happen in 1709 itself. The normal WM functionalities are not available, are not going to be available in the S4HANA. Okay, as of today in 1610, they are still available because we still not have the complete embedded solution. But going forward, when EWM will be embedded, the normal WM functionalities will not be supported at all. Another question from Sandeep. When S4 core is installed, then do customer need to buy separate SuccessFactors Ariba or will be given package? No, definitely. You are purchasing the license of only SAP S4 core, like in ECC also. You purchase ECC separately, CRM, SRM, APO, if you want IBP, if you want Ariba, SuccessFactors, they are all separate licensing, right? So today also, there is a separate licensing for each and everything. Whatever component you want to use, for that component you need to pay. This is valid for on-premise. In case of on-cloud, normally it is not, again, because it is the public cloud, and there may be the customers who are using all these functionalities, Ariba, Hybris and all. In that case, you can go with the package. Okay, in the cloud, you don't need to install it because of your own requirement, because that is already installed. Maybe some other customer is already using it. But definitely the licensing cost, the subscription cost will be more if you go with all the features installed in the same system. Okay. There is another question from Prasanna. How SAP ECC will work integrating SAP Ariba SuccessFactors, which are SAP S4HANA components? No, these are not SAP S4HANA components. Even today, if you are using SAP ECC, okay, you can use Ariba, Hybris, SuccessFactors today also. They are not the SAP S4HANA components. They can be integrated on your ECC system also. Krishna is asking the question, if SAP customers going to new implementation for SAP S4HANA, in this case, what would be done to the current SAP ECC? Will it be obsolete? Definitely. So when you are deciding that, okay, I want to go with a completely new implementation, your current ECC will become obsolete. You will be just performing the data migration from ECC to SAP S4, and once your S4HANA becomes operational, then you can obsolete your ECC system. or maybe for some time you want to keep it safe so that if anything goes wrong, you have the backup. But yes, it will become obsolete. You are not going to use both the systems in parallel. There is another question from Pradeep. When a customer decides to go for a system conversion option for SAP S4HANA premise, does he still has the option of moving some of his modules to cloud in the future? See, modules means what? If you are talking from the modules which are available in the core system like MM, SD, PP, no, you cannot move module wise. It is a complete S4 core system. If you're talking from CRM, SRM, APO, Ariba, Hybris, then that is fine. That can be moved on cloud. Okay, now there are one or two questions which are related to this slide. Okay, so some of you are asking that if you can repeat this slide. Not a problem because I was expecting this. This is very important to understand. So I'm talking about three scenarios here: new implementation, system conversion, and landscape transformation. New implementation means if you are not using SAP at all, or if you are already using SAP but you are not happy with your current SAP system and you don't want to upgrade, you want to perform the complete new implementation. Okay, where you will move the data from your current ECC or non-SAP system to new SAP S4HANA system. That is a new implementation. And in case of new implementation, you have the choice whether you want to purchase a hardware and use on-premise system or you want to go with cloud. Second option is system conversion, which is for the customers who are using SAP already. They are using SAP from, let's say, 5 years, 10 years, maybe 20 years. Okay, so if the customers are already using SAP from last many years and they have a lot of customized processes, lot of customized reports, they don't want to go away with that. They want that to be available in SAP S4HANA also. In that case, they will definitely go for conversion. Conversion means all your existing processes will remain as it is. Only the changes will be the delta changes which are in SAP S4. So for example, if I talk about, let's say, releasing strategy in purchase order, since there is no change in releasing strategy, that you don't need to reconfigure. They are already available. What you need to reconfigure is the processes which are changed. For example, credit management, material ledger. So these are the processes which are new in SAP S4. Only those processes needs to be reconfigured. There will be the impact on those processes while other processes will remain as it is in case of system conversion. Okay, and as I told you, if you are going with system conversion, because you are going to use the same hardware, I'm not saying you don't need upgrade. Same hardware needs the upgrade also. You need to install more and more RAM on that. But still, you are going to perform the upgrade on the same hardware, on the same system that you are already using. So in that case, you are that will be called as a system conversion. And in case of system conversion, you cannot go to cloud because you are going to use the same hardware. Third option is landscape transformation, which creates a confusion normally. I'll give you a very simple example. If I am a customer and I have the three different SAP systems, one in Europe, one is Asia, and other is US. You being a consultant, you came to me and you told me that, okay, because your current system landscape is too huge, there are three different systems and for each and every system to get converted to SAP S4, let's say it will take 8 months or let's say 1 year. So all these three projects, it will take 3 years. I am a customer, I already paid for SAP S4HANA. Why will I wait for 3 years to realize the benefits? So I'll tell you, okay, I can wait, that is not a problem. But can you give me the interim solution where at least I can get the consolidated reports? So what I can say is, okay, you continue using your existing systems. What I'll do is I'll create one SAP S4HANA separate instance, additional to all the three instances that you already have today. And using the replication server like Ad-hoc, whatever transactions you post in your current system, they will be available directly in SAP S4HANA system, so that you can get the consolidated reports, the new reports, the new embedded system, directly you get the reports from SAP S4. Okay, and in the meantime, we will continue the project which will convert each and every system to SAP S4. So this is an interim solution which is sidecar. Sidecar means you are using both. Sidecar means parallel. So you are getting the reports from the new system. Transactions you are still doing from the old system. This is the landscape transformation. And somebody asked me earlier the difference between simple finance and central finance, which I told you it is a more related to finance question, but this landscape transformation is mainly used for central finance. So you have three different ERP systems, okay, and you want to perform the financial consolidation in one system. So you will use this SAP S4HANA system and you will move all your financial data from all these three different systems to one common system, which will be called as a central finance system. Central finance means you are getting the data from multiple different systems into one common finance system. So if it is only for finance, that will be called as central finance. If it is also for logistics, this will be normal SAP S4HANA system. Okay, is it clear to all of you now? Okay, there is another question from Sandeep. Currently, client has 3 regions. Okay, when SAP S4HANA implemented, still I can use one landscape, or again I need to have 3 systems in SAP S4HANA. It is a strategic decision. If you are using three different systems currently in ECC, as I told you, like here, region 1, region 2, region 3, it is client decision whether they want to use a separate SAP S4HANA system for each region. Normally not. Normally they will go for consolidation. So it is a strategic decision, but both the options are possible. You can convert each and every system to SAP S4HANA, or you can convert all the systems together in one single system as SAP S4HANA. Prabhakar is asking the question, if we create the master data here, will it be automatically created here? Yes. So that is the replication. Whatever transactions you do here, if you want to replicate, that will be replicated here. So let's say, for example, here the vendor master is created using the old transactions. Here it is created the new transactions. You don't need to worry. Via replication server, when you say, okay, whenever a transaction is created here or whenever a vendor is created here, it will be automatically available in this system. Suresh is asking the question, in Open SAP presentation, it was always said that it is better to go with new implementation instead of system conversion. Is there a huge challenge to do though? No, I don't think so, because see, if the customer is already using SAP from last many years, you will definitely not go with the new implementation. Okay, so it all depends upon the customer. System conversion is definitely a very important project. You cannot ignore. You cannot say each and every customer that I will go for new implementation only, or you will not suggest him to go with new implementation. There are a lot of system conversion projects which are going well in the market today. We already worked on that. Another question from Sandeep, what is the middleware used to connect to SAP S4HANA to other applications? Middleware is whatever you were using. So it is not a single middleware. It is like earlier, whatever middlewares you were using, they are all supported in SAP S4HANA. Okay, Raj is asking, okay, this is a direct question to me. I'm not sure which one of these 3 you worked. Actually, I worked on all 3. I worked on the system conversion where we converted the existing system to SAP S4HANA. I worked on 2 new implementations which are completely from scratch. And landscape transformation, I worked on the central finance. Okay, not from the logistics point of view, but from the central finance point of view, where customer has multiple ERP systems and they want to replicate all the data into one common central finance system. Okay, now some of you are asking for unmuting you. So just raise your hand. I'll just unmute you one by one. Yes, Srinivas, I just unmuted you.
Gaurav, you said while during the conversion, if I use my uh, same system, in that case also it's possible. But in fact, for HANA, you need high memory systems, right? Because entire data you're going to store on RAM only. So if my existing system has low RAM, obviously it should not support.
So as I told you, you need to upgrade your existing hardware. Definitely. See, same system, you can definitely upgrade the hardware, right?
You mean to say that I need to increase my RAM and then
Yes,
only I need to start conversion?
yes, definitely.
Okay, okay.
Yes. Yes, Prabhakar, I just unmuted you. Prabhakar, please go ahead with your question. We cannot hear you, Prabhakar. Yes, Raj, I unmuted you.
Hey, thank you. Gaurav, I have a quick question. Like, what are the major challenges? I mean, I'm not going to ask you to list all the challenges, major and minor, but say, for example, the material master character length, I think S4HANA has changed it. So to address that format, did you really face any big challenge, one of your implementations? Like that, do you see any significant challenges and how did you mitigate so that we can learn from your experience?
Yes, definitely. So that is something which we are going to go through this course, because whenever I'll be talking about a particular topic, I'll be telling you what challenges you can face in that particular topic instead of being the very generic one.
I agree, but when it material master character length, I think this is a big one, I guess so.
No, definitely, but we are going to have a complete session on that. So when we'll be talking about that session, I'll be telling you what are the challenges in that.
Okay, I agree. I just gave an example, like, you might share a few challenges that you, I guess, I mean, like, it's just to, to get an idea of like, okay, oh, okay. I know you're going to explain in this thing, but just to get an idea, I'm asking now. Maybe one or two challenges that.
Yes, Raj, actually we need to focus on a particular topic. Otherwise it will go to the separate direction. That is the reason I'm telling you. So I have the plan for each and everything. So whenever we'll be talking about that particular topic, you will get that information. Otherwise this discussion will go into the different direction.
All right. Okay. Thank you.
I just want to focus on whatever we discussed today rather than being very generic on SAP S4HANA. Okay, there is some question on the chat screen again. I cannot see any hand raised. If you have any question, please raise your hand. Okay, Prabhakar is asking the question, as a consultant, how do I know what are the changes in SAP S4HANA? Can I see this on the system? That is why you are here, Prabhakar. So I'll help you out, like how exactly you can know what are the changes, how you can see in the system, that all things we are going to do. Prabhakar, you are still unmuted, so you can try if you are able to speak. No, we are not able to hear you, but I hope I answered your question. Okay, any other questions before we stop today? No, Prabhakar. Prabhakar is asking the question, are this slide enough to clear the certification? These slides are only the overview. Okay, I'll be providing you some important documentation links in some of the next classes. I think when we'll start with the practical. Okay, those documents will be more than enough. Those documents along with this recordings, because you are going to get the recording of each and every session. So these two things will definitely make you understand all the concepts of passing the certification exam. Yes, Saptagirish, I just unmuted you.
Hey Gaurav, I was
Yes, hi.
raising my hand. I was forming a question.
Mhm.
So, outside the projects are asking, have you worked on SAP S4HANA?
Mhm.
What does it mean? What are they expecting from a consultant? And how much are you taking us through, for a ECC consultant to be able to help the client on this implementation?
Okay, so when you say outside, they are asking the question, have you worked on SAP S4HANA? They definitely mean that have you worked on any conversion, any new implementation or landscape transformation project which is on 1511, 1610, definitely not on ECC HP7 on HANA database. Okay, so you should not say, okay, I'm using on HANA database, so I'm already on SAP S4. So they are expecting you, have you worked on anything above 1511? Okay, and when you talk about what are we going to, you said how you are going to be helped in this course by knowing what are the changes from ECC to SAP S4. That is exactly why we are here. We are going to talk about the changes which are in the core modules of SAP like MM, SD and PP, whatever has been changed from ECC compared to SAP S4. Yes, Krishna, I just unmuted you. Please go ahead. Krishna, you are muted from your side.
Yeah, hi, Gaurav.
Yes, Krishna.
So I'm recently working for one new project, so which is implementing for S4HANA, and I heard that the client is already is ECC, but I really don't understand why the client is going for the SAP S4HANA implementation once again. So I don't understand. Is already when the customer is on ECC, then why is going for again S4HANA from scratch? That's why I've asked for the will it be for SAP ECC will it be obsolete?
Yes, see that you need to understand from the customer why they are going for new implementation. So maybe that can be maybe some reason, like for example, as I told you, the customer is already using ECC, but they have completely messed it up and they themselves are not sure. There are a lot of reconciliation issues. So they decided, okay, better to go with new implementation. And maybe they don't have much of the Z objects which they are bothered about. Okay, but normally if the client is happy with his current system and they are already done a lot of Z customizations and all, they will definitely not go with the new implementation. They will like you to make sure that the existing objects are available as it is with the new functionalities. So that is something which you need to check. Like they must have taken the decision based on some strong reason, right? Okay, what are the current available? Yeah, thank you, Krishna. What are the current available SAP S4HANA certifications for SAP MM consultant? So SAP S4HANA as of now doesn't provide the certification for each and every module separately. Okay, so S4HANA certification is not available only for MM or only for SD or only for PP, although the trainings are available. Okay, trainings are available from SAP for all these modules, but that is something which I'll be discussing in tomorrow's class. Okay, I'll be showing you some links where you will be understanding what kind of trainings are available from SAP and what kind of certifications. As of now, as I told you, it is not available. Okay, trainings are available which will make you ready for the certification exam, because whatever is available in the trainings, that is something which is considered as that will be the topics for the certification exam. Okay, so I'm closing this link today and we'll meet again tomorrow with the new topic, that is SAP Activate methodology, which is the new methodology which is going to replace the existing SAP methodology that we were using from years. So what is the difference? What are the different phases? Okay, that is something which we'll be discussing tomorrow. Thank you. Thank you all for joining today. Bye.